2004, I got started in the San Joaquin Valley, just a few miles outside of Fresno, in Sanger, I believe was the town. Yeah, actually a great Airbnb, super nice guy. The guy had actually an awesome story. He grew up in Western New York, and he said when he was like 19, he just like didn't like the direction he was going in, and I guess his parents were split up, and his dad lived out west in the Bay Area, and so he gave his dad a call like, oh, I'm not doing well, blah 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 blah, and anyway, his dad called him back a couple days later like, okay, I got you a one-way ticket to somewhere in the Bay Area for like a few days later, and like in those few days he like told his mom he was leaving, broke up with his girlfriend, and then just left, which I think is kind of wild. But anyway, he got a job in like packaging basically, and now he works for a company that I guess their main business is building like crates or like whatever kind of container you ship grapes in. So yeah, he's like designs that packaging, whatever. So really cool guy, and he loves he used to live in the Bay Area. He came out here because he was dating someone out here, and now he yeah, I mean he promised himself he would never live out here in the San Joaquin Valley just because it's so hot. He actually likes it because he's close to Sierra Nevada. He likes to come up here and fish and hike and things like that. He was laughing about my time in Yosemite because like apparently this time of year the valley is just incredibly crowded, and I don't think any locals really go, which is what I heard when I was up there as well. But you know, he also gave me some good tips for Fresno. So I mean, I was like in the center of town yesterday, but the center of town's kind of ghetto from what he says. So yeah, I got some tips for like restaurants to go, I think further north of town, that are a little bit nicer. So we'll check that out, and maybe we'll have a changed perception of Fresno. And it's weird, I mean, like driving through the outskirts of Fresno, you see like the billboards that are like all in Spanish. Yeah, like a billboard in English would be the exception. So I just walked around Grant Grove, which is, I think I'm actually technically in Sequoia National Forest, not in any national parks yet, but it's like past the Kings Canyon Visitor Center. So it has the General Grant tree, which is sort of like the famous landmark in it. It's the third largest tree by volume in the world. The largest is the General Sherman tree, which I'll see later today, a little bit south of here. But yeah, so sequoias are like the largest trees by volume in the world, like as a species. They're not as tall as redwoods, and they're not the biggest in diameter, but by pure volume, they're the largest. It's really hard to capture the scale of them in the pictures, but it is pretty amazing. The Grant tree is actually a national shrine, which I think is super interesting. Not a national monument, a national shrine. It was dedicated by dedicated by Admiral Nimitz at the behest of Eisenhower. There's service members who gave their lives in service, and I think like the strength, the peace, the stability of the tree is supposed to be fitting for that kind of symbolism. So yeah, I just think that's super interesting and speaks to how the landscape, or elements of the landscape, can capture what we perceive to be American values. So I'm now in Kings Canyon National Park, or at least entering it, and I'm incredibly impressed. I don't know why my expectations for Kings Canyon were kind of low. I just don't feel like it's a very talked about park, but I think it's really cool. It's as awe-inspiring as a place like Glacier, but I think with the kind of rugged brutality of like a Badlands, for example. Yeah, just a lot of really high sheer cliffs, not a whole lot of vegetation, and what there is pretty sparse and dry. A whole lot of sheer rock faces, and the drive is beautiful because it's just built right into the cliffs, so you get a great view on the drive. I don't think I'm going to hike or anything here. I just kind of drive through it and see it. I think that honestly gives me a pretty good view of it. I want to get down to Sequoia National Park. But yeah, this has been far above my expectations. So I am just now leaving the General Sherman tree, the biggest tree in the world by volume, over 2,000 years old, but I think about 300 feet tall, and I don't know the statistics. But I think the really important observation of this visit was not the General Sherman tree, but the observation that of the total words I heard spoken on the trail to the tree, I'd say about 3/8 were Spanish, a quarter was Mandarin, a quarter was other European languages I couldn't identify, and maybe an eighth was English. And even then, I think I'm being generous, which I think is amazing. And I think this is something you see in national parks in general, a large international population. But maybe it's because we're in California. This was unlike anything I'd ever seen. I think really this is why you come and see it in person. It's not just so that you can see the scale of the tree in person. It's not just so that you can see like the giant forest and the surrounding environment. Those things are nice, but they're secondary to seeing the great clamoring masses come out of their minivans and their shuttle buses with kids in tow and speak in a million different languages to get their photograph of the tree. And I'm not condemning them. I'm not saying because I'm one of them, but I just think it's remarkable. So after leaving Sequoia National Park, I came back into the San Joaquin Valley. It's a beautiful drive coming out of the mountains, out of the Sierra Nevada into the valley. Kind of takes you down some hills and then over some farmland, and you drop in, and then kept on driving back towards Sanger. Stopped at a little farmer's market, which was really cute. It was it was family run, and it was like a younger husband and wife, and then some of their kids that were like, I don't know, probably 7 or 8. So I got some peaches there, and then kept on driving back to my place for the night. Made myself a little bit of dinner, and then called it a day.